Welcome to another episode of Gentlemen's League Podcast. My name is Mache. You can always reach me at Complex King on IG. And today we having one of a very great man. I've had a chance to talk to him, Mr. Andrew Gordon here with us. And we are continuing our series, Choices Determine Destiny. And I'll fill you in. We're doing Choices Determine Destiny is what we're studying with the youth, with the young Gentlemen's League. And through that, there's a series of episodes or a series of topics for the next 3 months. We're going to dive in. We've had plenty of podcasts already. And this one, Wrong Decision, Choosing Wrong, I was looking at someone who have made some wrong decisions, and God has still pulled out of it, and God has still helped. And like I've told you before, I believe that, and even the Bible says it, that just because we say God forgive us, doesn't mean there's no consequences to what we did, to the decisions. Exactly. There's always consequences. So we studied Samson in the Bible, and I went over how he made certain decisions, all bad decisions, choosing the woman he chose to marry, sneaking out at night when he had to go to war, the next day go to battle, and everything that he's done. However, when he needed God the most, even after God took away his strength, God still showed up.
Amen.
So I think that based on our conversation, I think that you would have been a great person to actually be here with me having this podcast today. And the reason is because the younger generation, even me, because I'm learning from you also, and us sitting down is me learning from you. The younger generation sometimes don't understand that there are consequences to the choices that we make.
All right.
So a lot of choices are made on emotions.
Exactly.
At the moment we're upset, at the moment we're happy, whatever we decide, whether it's, going to jail, going in the hospital, or going to the morgue, or even having babies out there.
Exactly.
All those choices have consequences.
Yeah.
But sometimes the younger generation don't really take heed to that.
Grasp it that well, because a lot of them come from single parents' home where they have no father. The mother is the head of the house, and they have no guidance. They're on their own. They're virtually on their own. I was brought up with a mother and a father. The choice that I made it on my own because I was in church. My mom made sure I go to church. Well, first, let me say, it's a privilege for me being here.
Welcome.
And I thank God that I'm able to help you in this setting.
Amen.
And like I was saying, my mom made sure we go. We every time the church doors open, we was there.
Sounds like your mama knew my mom.
Even in the summertime, we went to vacation Bible school.
Yes.
I used to get so sick of church, man. I said, man, when I get grown, I ain't never going to church no more.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that. Things happened in my life where it drew me closer to the church when certain events happened in my life.
Now, I have another question as far as that. And it's funny that you said your mom made sure you were in church. Anytime the doors open, you were at church. It's funny that you said that because I grew up the same way.
Yeah.
I grew up the same way you thought about it. I was like, when I grew up, I'm never stepping foot in the church. And sure enough, when I turned in Delaware, I grew up in Delaware. When I turned 14 in 10 months, you can start working. So I went and got a job where I had to work on Sundays just so I wouldn't have to go to church. Because I tell mom, like, hey, mom, I'm trying to help you out.
Yeah,
I'm trying to take care of some bills for you.
So you threw that little floor in there.
And I remember mom used to be so mad. I used to just have to dodge it. Look, you're going to be in punishment. Hey, I'll take it. If I'm not in church on Sunday, I'll take whatever punishment you give me. And now here we are. Now, let me ask you. The fact that you grew up in church, how has that lately, and we're going to come back, and go back and go over everything, but the fact that you grew up in church, the fact that even when you didn't like it, your parents still took you to church, still made sure that you were there, because as far as they know, they made a decision to raise their family in the church.
Exactly.
How would you say that's affected your life now, or when you were going through stuff? How would you say your parents being so strict on that? How would you say that affected your life?
Well, in my family, my mother and my dad didn't go to church that much,
Mm-hmm.
but my mom did. And like I said, we was right on her dress tail. And my mom is an old-fashioned Christian mama. She said, bring up a child in the way, and once they get older, they will not depart from it.
Man.
And not only did she bring us up, she whipped it in us too.
Oh yeah.
Cause when we would lay in the bed like we ain't going to Sunday school and stuff, she come in there with that ironing cord. She hit you one time, you done got up, you done got everything
Get dressed
gone.
quick, right?
It's gone. So you know, I love my mom, but I told my mom, I said, Mom, you know what? If you would have been in these days and the way you used to chastise us, I said, I think they'll still have you in prison.
Oh yeah. Nowadays that's a little different. Nowadays,
But
definitely.
It's different. And how it affected me down through the years, I learned how to call on God when I was in trouble. I learned how to just call on the Lord and ask the Lord to please come help me. But you know, we don't never call on God until we get in trouble.
That's true. That's true.
And every time I get in trouble, I call on God. And when I was doing drugs, I would ask God, keep me with a sound mind, Lord. Please keep me with a sound mind. Because I used to shoot coke, shoot heroin. I was what they call I was an addict, but I was a functioning addict. I had a job. I went to work every day. The weekend was my time. I get blasted on the weekend, but Monday morning I'm on the job.
You're on the job, right?
Because I know I had to have that money for the next week. I had to have that money, so I would go to work.
Now, during that time when you were shooting up and on drugs, were you still in church, or did you just?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I strayed away from the church for about 5 years, and I just didn't feel right, you know.
Really?
But I was still doing drugs. I would get high and go to church.
Oh.
I would shoot me some heroin or some cocaine, go right in the church and sit down.
Sit down. Well, you know, the thing about it is this, and I think for me, I used to think that's a bad thing, but the Bible, that's the time when you need to be in the church.
You know what my saying was? The Bible said, "Come just as you are." So I'm going high.
That's how you choose to be. You going high.
Because I had an old pastor named Reverend I.S. Clark Sr., and sometimes he would let other ministers preach, and Reverend Gant was so slow and so he was nobody liked when Reverend Gant preached. So I had to get high, sit there and listen to Reverend Gant. But my mom, she would not let us go out. She was, because at that time you had to hold up one finger if you wanted to step out.
Right.
And my mom be sitting right there waiting for you to come back in there. If you don't come back in there, she coming to get you.
Right.
I don't care how old you were. I was, the last whipping that my mama gave me, I was 17 years old. I was playing football for MacArthur High, and I came home drunk. We celebrated a win, and we came home drunk, and my mom got a little plastic baseball bat and was beating me with it. I'm looking at her laughing. She said, "Boy, I'm going to kill you. I brought you in this world, and I'll take you out.
Right.
Before I let them white folks beat you,
I'm going to do it." Right.
Yeah, because she was really against drugs. She was against disobedience, highly against disobedience, because in our days, even the neighbors can chastise you.
Right. Mom, that's a fact, though.
My mom would give them permission. Say, if you see my son, you see him doing anything, go ahead on and spank him and get it. And they didn't do no spanking. They get mulberry limbs and all that kind, and be beating. I got 3 whoopings in one day.
before I came to the U.S. in Haiti, it was the same way, because in the church, everybody in the church could beat me.
Everybody.
That means and back then, now it's different, and I always wonder if it's because the difference between Haiti and the U.S. But back then, if you walking down the street and you kicking a soda can or something, some grown folks gonna find you and tear your behind up, and you better hope they don't tell my mom, because when you get home, you get told, listen, that's another whooping again.
The worst part was when if you walking down the street, you and your little partners, and you say a curse word, Andrew, I'm gonna tell your mama you just cursed. Oh Lord!
You already know. You already know.
So you know you finna get it. You know you finna get it. That was instilled in me, and in my siblings, respect. Cause when we see old folks walking down the road, we respect them. We'll speak to them. We'll ask them if there's anything we can do for them. That's why my mom brought us up. She brought us up to respect one another and respect the elders. Especially is respect our elders, because that was the most important thing in the Bible. The Bible says respect your elders. It said honor your mother and your father.
So
Said,
that your
well,
days can be long.
who is my mother and my father? Who you? Because it was an old drunk lady, Miss Georgia. Miss Georgia would get so drunk she just fall out. I said, well, how am I supposed to? Mama said, you respect her. She's your elder.
Right.
I don't care what she do. She's a drunk, but you still gonna respect her. If you don't, I'm gonna tear your behind up. And I never did this. I never disrespect Miss Georgia May.
I got you.
Sometimes she'll fall down. I go out there and
Help her up.
help her up. And I didn't want nobody to say nothing about Andrew Gordon, because Andrew Gordon was my daddy was a plumber in our community, and my mom worked for the school board for umpteen years, and my family was one of the first ones to move to Carver's Ranch and develop Carver's Ranch.
Where is that? I don't know.
It's in West Hollywood. They call it West Park now.
Okay, West Park. I know that. Right.
Yeah. And my parents were very respectable in Carver's Ranch. Everybody knew them. Everybody would go to them for help and stuff like that. Because my mom was a great baker. She baked cakes. She baked anything. And she taught me the same thing, how to bake. So our family was very close-knit family until we got older.
Okay. Is that when the family kind of like became distant, or what exactly happened that made that happen though?
My brother went to the Air Force, and my sister started taking company with this, what my mom called a hoodlum back in the day. She got tired taking company with a hoodlum, and my sister, Barbara Jean, she went to the Air Force, but she later died in the Air Force, and there wasn't nobody left home now but me and my baby sister, Denise, and we just grew apart. I went and started doing my thing. I started dealing drugs in 1969. I was dealing marijuana and just doing my thing. And she was doing her thing, and everybody just. But we always come together on Thanksgiving, any kind of event. We always come together.
So up until your brother left, you're saying the family was always still tight knit, and then once he left, your sister left, and she died, and you're just kind of like, was there anything besides, because your upbringing was in the church?
Yeah.
During that time, were you still in church during that time, or were you just a participant? Were you a seat warmer? You should say.
I strayed away from the church. But when I did go to church, I just sit in the back row. My mom had bought a bench, so the family sit on that bench, Cyril Gordon's bench. Our whole family sit on that bench. That was the way they did back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I go, I had to sit on that bench. As bad as I wanted to sit in the back.
Right, you had to go ahead and sit that bench.
Cyril Gordon wasn't going for that right there.
I got you.
Yeah.
So now, I know when we were talking, and we talked about some things. Now, what are some choices that, if you were to go back, if for any chance, it's impossible. But if you were to go back in time and change, what choices have you made that you would definitely say you go back and change? Or do you feel like you would change?
I would never pick up a joint of marijuana, because that's what started the whole thing. I would never put no powder up my nose. I wouldn't participate in any drug activities at all. I prefer just being a square.
A square is not a bad thing. Square is not a bad thing
It
at
was
all.
back then.
No, I think it still is, in a figure of speech. But when you look at certain decisions that sometimes the youth, the younger ones make to prove to themselves, and most of the time it's not even themselves really, it's to prove to people that they're not squares. Those decisions almost always end up bad.
But see, peer pressure, I never had peer pressure. I did it because I wanted to do it. I wanted to do drugs. I wanted to shoot. I wanted to do all these things because I wanted to experience these things.
Mm.
And once I experienced it, I loved it. I loved it. And when I was shooting heroin, I loved it. Like I said, I was a functioning addict, so it didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a $500 a day Jones, so I had to take care of it. So I do whatever. I used to rob. I robbed to take care of my Jones. And I would never rob black folks. I never rob black folks.
Why?
I go across the track because we ain't got nothing. So why I'm gonna rob somebody who ain't got nothing?
Right.
So I go across the track and rob them white folks. White folks got everything. So every time I rob them, I come up. I said I couldn't see myself robbing black folks because it'll be downgrading myself. Because my mom taught me to respect one another, to respect my neighbor, to
Right.
respect black folks. And my mama was a big black person, fanatic. See, when I was in high school, I had a little white girl for my girlfriend. I asked my mom, I said, "Mom, can I bring my girlfriend on?" She said, "Yeah, you could bring her to breakfast. So you can bring her to dinner." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, she white though." She said, "Don't you bring that cracker to my house." so
that is definitely and at the times when that happens, of course, that's something that
was in
it was
1967.
right. So that's
68,
something that is
yeah.
definitely would not be sitting well with the family.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
A lot of my choices came from being integrated. Because in 1967, we were the first blacks to integrate all white schools. And we started learning things from them that really was a downfall to us. We lost our, how you say it, we lost our blackness.
The pride of
Yeah.
being that.
Being black.
Right.
Because then we started a lot of us started acting like white folks and started doing the thing that the white folks was doing. So, and during that time, in 1969, I graduated from high school. But I didn't graduate. I quit high school. I played football. I was an awesome middle guard, and it wasn't nothing left.
Right.
Nothing left after football because listen, I wasn't that bright. I wasn't college material.
Okay.
So after high school football, there was nothing.
There was
left.
nothing left.
So my choice was let's
Hit the
go
streets.
rob.
Let's hit the streets.
Let's go rob. Let's go. So I got me a partner. His name was Alan Hicks. Me and Alan Hicks went out and that's what we did.
Now, through all of that, were you having run-ins with the cops, or were you just?
You know what? God bless me. God bless me. Man, out of all that robbing and stealing we used to, and all them drugs, I had one run-in with the cops back there and there. And that was because we had these two women. And we went on the beach. And we were going to, we were going to have some fun. We were going to have sex on the beach. And when we was getting into it, a knock on the door. And guess what? It was the police. Dane County police. Say, what y'all doing? Get out of the van. I said, oh, Lord, man. I mean, that was a bummer. We had drugs everywhere. We had cocaine. We had pills everywhere. Man, we started trying to throw it underneath the seat everywhere. We even took some in the police. When the police arrested us, we took some of us in the police and put it behind the police seat. Yeah.
So how old would you say you were around that time?
I was 19, 20 years old.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a lot. Because I always think now, and I was talking to someone the other day, and I told him, I don't know what a regular 19-year-old does.
Yeah.
Because I joined the military at 17.
Right.
So I don't know what a regular 19-year-old, and at the same time, I thank God that I wasn't a regular 19-year-old out there.
See, I don't know what a regular straight person was. But I know my brother was in the Air Force.
Right.
Okay, so he was, but he was a drunk. He was alcoholic.
Well, I mean, I think some of my military friends will tell you that, Michelle was definitely a drunk in the military.
Okay.
Because that was the thing. And, I joined the military at 17, ended up in Japan.
Wow.
I'm away from
Yeah.
any and everybody.
Yeah.
So the same way with you, where everybody in the church could beat me, everybody can go and tell my mom and I get in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, there's nobody there anymore.
Nobody.
So now I'm pretty much a
Running
grown kid
Running wild.
running wild. So it was one of those, I drink hard.
Yeah.
And to me at the time, that was fun. Like, I work hard during the day,
It was.
get off work,
It was.
go out town, and especially in Japan, I woke up plenty of times on the side of the beach somewhere and, just
Yeah.
pass out, go to sleep by the beach. But to me, it was fun at that time because, of course, I didn't know any better.
Okay. But with me, I never passed out. God kept me awake, aware of everything I was doing. I get so high, I be nodding, driving the car. The car knew his way home. He'd go home every time.
I wasn't that
I
fortunate.
don't know why that car go home. That car would make his way home.
I think everybody who drink and drive
Yeah,
say the same thing.
it's the same thing.
Say the same thing. Like everybody says the same thing. Because for me, I think I've done that. When I first came back from Japan, I was stationed in North Carolina, and I remember I used to drive, and sometimes I'm so drunk that I need help to get out the car.
Wow.
But I used to go that hard doing it, so that's definitely a problem, But now, of course, now you wouldn't catch me doing that now. But back then, though,
Right.
to me was
Yeah.
that was the fun thing, and it stopped after. I stopped doing that after I came home. To me, it was just I'm having fun. I'm living my life.
Right.
And I never thought about anything
Right.
else because to me it was like
You
I
never-
grew
you
up
never
so
think about the
much.
consequences.
Right, because to me I
You
felt like
having
I grew
fun.
up so much under, like I was locked
Right.
up. I didn't grow up with
Yeah.
freedom. So therefore the minute I got a chance to take freedom, I took it.
advantage of
I
it,
took
huh?
advantage of it. I took advantage of it
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
until it caught up with me.
I think that's the way it was with me too. 'Cause my mom kept us under her wing so tight that when I got older and I was able to get loose, I got loose.
Right.
I got foot loose.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing for me. Because once I left, and I was running, I wanted to leave Delaware, but as far behind as possible.
Okay.
So, of course, as it happened, my first duty station was Japan. You can't get farther away than that,
That's for sure.
That's for sure. So, being in Japan was, here I am, and I was 18 when I was in Japan. Here I am in Japan at 18. No parents. I'm making money. And I have friends who are older, military buddies who are older. Those people who I know when I go out somewhere with them, they still look out for me.
Right.
So therefore, I was living a life carefree because I felt like the people that I was with, and
Right.
most of us, a lot of us are still friends today, would go out to the club. I would be ready to start fights. That was the life I was really living in Japan. And that kind of slowed down when I got locked up. I went all the way to Japan, and that affected me so much because to me, I was trying to leave Delaware so I wouldn't go to jail. You know, graduate high school, that kid who goes to high school, graduate, and stay around and getting in trouble, going to jail or on drugs. I just didn't want to do that. So I joined the military and still ended up arrested in Japan, which I never could tell my parents. Like, I never told my mom that, hey, Mom, I got arrested in Japan.
I never called my mom when I would get in trouble. I never called her because I didn't want her to be humiliated like that. I didn't want her to come down to the police station and get me or nothing like that. The only one time that I called, and this wasn't even my fault. I had just bought this brand new 1973 Thunderbird, and I was coming down Pembroke Road when I was pulled over by a police department called Ridge Farm, and they pulled me over. They say, "What a nigga like you doing driving a car like that?" It was gorgeous. "What a nigga like you driving a car like this?" So I told them, "My damn money paid for it. Why can't I drive?" So you know what they did?
Locked you up.
They said, "Put your hand behind your back."
Right.
So they was finna have a car. So I called. I said, "Well, can I make a phone call?" They said, "No, you can't do nothing." Once they got to the police station, they wouldn't let me do nothing. So I eventually, the sergeant said, "You got my phone." So I called my dad, tell him to go get my car, because I didn't want them to tow it. They were going to tear it up. So.
Nah, I think, see, the thing with me is that I made a lot of bad choices.
We all do.
But I started my bad choices young. See, like, my dad wasn't in the house. I love my dad. You know, me and my dad, we're really close now, but my dad wasn't in the house. So when my mom goes to work, I know exactly what time she's coming home.
Right.
I know how long she's going to stay awake before she falls asleep because she's tired. So I know when to leave. I know when she's waking up to use the bathroom and check up on us. So I knew exactly when I need to be in the house, even with my clothes on under the blanket, though, like acting I was sleeping. I knew that. So because I knew that and I used that, it got me in trouble a lot. Like, I think for fights, I never got arrested. One thing for sure, though, I never got arrested for drugs. But fighting, being drunk in public, like those things, that was the thing at the time for me. That's what I was into.
I can say that, I can truly say that even during these times, God had His hands on me.
Oh yeah.
He was protecting me from. He had a mission for me, even back then when I was disobedient.
Right.
When I was doing my thing, I called myself doing my thing. That was none of my thing. That was the devil's thing.
Right.
That I was doing.
Right.
So when I was involved in all that kind of stuff, God was still nurturing me.
Right.
So for one reason, I think Bishop said, God got the victory, and we get the testimony.
Right.
So I have numerous of testimonies of how God has brought me through one situation to
After
another.
Right.
After another. I asked myself sometimes, I wonder, do God ever get tired of forgiving? I asked Him to forgive me so many times. Lord, do you ever get tired? But
well, that's a good thing. God doesn't get tired.
Then He does.
Right.
I'm still here.
Right.
I'm still here. Because if He do, then He give us up for a reprobated mind. And then virtually we get killed. Because He used to tell us, it says, I went through 4 drug rehabs, and it said, well, drug leads to 3 things: jail, institution, and death. I said, well, I done been through all of them right there. So what else left for me?
See, I think what you said about even through all that, God was there and God was preparing you for something bigger.
Yeah.
I feel, that's how I feel about me.
Yeah.
Because at such a young age, I was doing all this crazy things that I really had no business doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mom, I'll tell my mom I have to work on Sundays, but really I'm just with my friends getting high and getting drunk. You know, and then even when I left, I'm older in Japan, getting in all kinds of trouble, fighting and all that. I could have been dead back then. Something could have happened back then and I died.
Right.
But through all of that, God kept me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even though He kept me, I never paid attention that God is the one who's keeping me. Because at that time, that's not where my mind was.
Right. Exactly.
So I still kept doing and doing until God said, you know what? Now enough is enough.
Yeah.
Now that man that I planned for you to be, I'm gonna need you to sit down somewhere for a little bit
Yeah.
and get yourself together.
Yeah.
And you know that's what happened with my case. But even with that, I was still kind of like, nah, I'm not doing that, you know, and because I'm a hard-headed person.
Yeah.
I have no problem admitting that now, but it's because I'm hard-headed,
Yeah.
you know. But eventually, after everything, after you know so long, I thank God now that He put in me a love for the younger boys, because I saw how my mom cried. I remember I was I think that's the saddest part ever. I was locked up in North Carolina. My mom came to see me, and I was in solitary confinement. So when they brought me down, I had shackles on, shackles around my waist, shackles on my ankles. Normally they don't let you get visitation,
Right.
but my mom drove 8 hours to come see me. So they decided to let her see me for a little bit. As soon as she saw me in shackles, oh, everybody busted out crying. That was literally the saddest moment. Like, that actually touched me. And I remember I told the guards, I'm like, you know what, take me back to my cell. No, you have visitation. I'm like, listen, you can add to my days in there. I'm not seeing my family looking like this.
Right.
So they agreed just take one hand out. So I sat there, and my mom, my sister, my grandma, my aunts, like the whole family came to see me because they didn't know what's going on.
Right.
And everyone's crying. I remember I told my mom I would never do anything to make you cry again. So that has driven me like to mentor the younger boys.
Yeah.
That has
Yeah.
drawn me to the younger boys to help them, to give them a light. Like, hey, look, listen, and this is where my truthfulness comes from, because I need them to know.
Right, but it's a hard task, because the years that I spent in prison, I tried to mentor the young fellas coming in there, you know, and the most of them, they tell you, I know. That's only,
Well,
I know.
That's
And
true.
when you try to take them underneath your wing, because we used to take the juveniles underneath our wing and just nurture them so they won't get killed. Because prison is a dangerous spot, so you can get killed in that any time. And if you don't join their gangs, then they'll go against you and they'll do whatever they're going to do to you. But I tried nurturing these young fellas, and the ones that come to prison nowadays, they're not taking advice from older fellas such as myself. They say that you're a dinosaur. Things that's past and gone now. It's a new era, so you got to move up to the new millennium now. I said, well, I'm already in the new millennium.
Right.
But I still had the old way of thinking, the old way of conducting myself.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have no respect for their elders or nothing like that. So I admire you in instilling in these young fellas here the attitude of being respected and being respectable.
Respectable, yes.
Yes, because that'll take you a long way in the world.
You're right.
You have to have respect. You have to give respect in order to get respect.
My mom, she made sure she instilled that in us. She's like, if you want to get respect, you have to give respect. That's how you get it. And I hold that against every adult, regardless how old or young, even my boys, I do it. But I think that, and part of it, and I thank God for this with Gentlemen's League, is I try to take scripture and put it into their daily lives.
Right.
Show them how, because a lot of times they're going to think, oh, that's old. Oh, you're an old guy or whatever, that's old. And just like the ones who were in jail or in prison with you. But when you take it from the Bible, you show them something in the Bible. And then you show them how the exact same thing is happening right now in their lives. I feel like my boys so far, they've accepted it. They can, because questions asked, it's not that they can ask any questions that they ask. It's open. They can ask us the questions, and my relationship with them is a very close relationship.
Okay.
Because what I kind of realize is this: what my mom was doing, she was doing what she knows and how she knows how to do it,
Right.
which was you going to church.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything else. You going to church. If I'm leaving the house, everybody's going to church. Because if I'm not home, my door's going to be locked.
Exactly.
And that's how it was.
My mom was. My mom
Right.
was the same way. When I leave out,
Everybody got to leave. So you going to church.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. But I realized that even though that works for some kids, because I have some friends who've been in church and they still stayed in church, not
Yeah.
every kid learned the same way. For me, I'm more hard-headed than that.
Yeah.
So I approach it in a relationship type of scenario with them. My relationship with them gonna motivate them to learn more about God, and not just to learn to fear God, but to learn to have a relationship with God. Because teaching the younger generation to have a relationship with God, because if you have a relationship with someone, you have a relationship with a woman, you have to respect that relationship. So there's certain things you want to do.
Well, we say you have to have an intimate
Relationship,
with
yes,
God.
with God, right?
I mean, it goes beyond. It goes beyond a meal and it goes to where you just let God in and you just absorb everything that He has, and you just give Him everything that you got. David said, "What should I render unto the Lord?
Mm-hmm.
I render all.
Right.
All that I am belongs to Him." I had to come up in a way where, in one setting, there was a lot of racial tension down here, and we had riots and stuff like that, and I took myself and I joined the Black Panthers. So I was a black militant, Black Panther, and they taught us to hate Whitey. We don't take no crap from Whitey. We do what we have to do. We have to, whatever we have to do.
Right.
So we were beating them. We were beating them with bats and everything. Every time we have a riot, that's what I was instilled in, and it followed me on down, because remember I told you about my mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my mom had already planted that seed by white folks, and then
Right.
the Panthers just helped it grow
a little more, right?
and grow up a little bit more. But then when in 1987, when God called me to the man, I said, "Lord, you can't be calling me, because look at me, look what I was, look what I am. Nah, you ain't calling me. I was still doing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I was smoking crack now, but I was still doing drugs. I said, Lord, you can't be calling me." But He gave it to me. He gave it to me so plain. It was plain as day. He came out of John the 15th chapter. He says to me, he said, "You lovest thou me?" I said, "Yes, Lord." He said, "To feed my sheep." And He asked me 3 times, and I said yes every time. So I said, the only way that I'm going to be able to do this, I got to come out in the street. I got to stop what I'm doing, and the way I figured I could do that, I got to get married.
Mm-hmm.
I thought a wife would
Bring you out.
I thought the wife would take the drugs away. Our wife would be the solution to my
To
problem.
all your problems.
But that didn't happen.
Right.
That didn't happen. I got married. I got married to a wonderful woman. Her name was Faith. And we stayed together for 15 years. 15 years we was together. Then we did our 20th year. Our 20th year I was in prison. But I was ministering. But God had really blessed me. God blessed me. But I didn't want it.
Mm-hmm.
I turned my back on God. Just like Samson did. I turned my back on God, and I went back because the greed got to me.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted my wife to ride in a big Mercedes like the dope boys ride.
Right.
I wanted a bigger house like the dope boys got, and all that led to me going out in the street slinging again. So when I started slinging, when you disobey God, God got a way of chastising you and bringing you back home. And I was slinging, and what happened was I was working for this fella. I was a bodyguard for a dope dealer. His name was Tommy Neal, and he put a pistol in my hand and told me, "I need you to bodyguard for me." It's all right because I was a ruthless person back in that day.
Mm-hmm.
So he still thought I had that same mentality, and I was trying to change. But God had changed me, but I went back. Remember what the Bible said?
Right.
The man put his hands to the plow
Mm-hmm.
and looketh back.
Mm-hmm.
You can't look
You
back.
can't look back. You can't
never
look back. Right.
If you look back, you're going back.
Mm-hmm.
I looked back and I went back and I started dealing drugs, and I fronted a white boy some drugs. I fronted him some drugs. I fronted him a whole ball. That's $100 piece. And when time come to pay up, he didn't show up. He didn't show up for 4 weeks. I said, I wonder where is he? You know, so I said, well, okay, let me go check out this other dope house. They just opened up around the corner. So I went around there and around the corner, and as soon as I walked in the door, the doorman let me in. I walked in the door, and I said, Nemo, where's my money? And he called me. He said to me, he said, oh, it's N-word. And by the time he got the N out of his mouth, I had to pull that 357 and I shot him in the head. And I stood over him and I said, Cracker, this one word will never come out your mouth again. And I cut his throat from ear to ear.
Mm.
Choices that we make can send us spiraling. You know, spiraling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, straight down. But you know what? Through all of that, God still was in the plan. God still had his hands. Because when I went to court, the prosecutor said, we're going to burn him. Because the crime that he committed was gruesome and it was hideous. It was an overkill. He had no right. The man was already dead. Why would you cut his throat? So, and my lawyer wouldn't permit me to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
He said, just keep quiet. I got this. I said, you got it? You hear what this man just said? What you mean you got it?
Right.
But then I fast for 7 days and 7 nights. I didn't eat nothing. All I did was prayed and prayed and I prayed. And God spoke to me. He said, nothing's going to happen to you. Although the prosecutor wanted to send me to the electric chair, God made it possible where he said, you ain't going to send him to the electric chair. That's my son. That's my son. Because remember now, I was already a minister.
Okay.
I was a pastor.
So at that time, you were already a pastor, but you decided to go back.
Yeah. I decided, yeah. The big eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Pushed me back. That little green-eyed devil, that one they call greed.
Greed, right?
Yeah,
right.
Greed took me back, and the consequences that I went through, the things that I went through, it really instilled in me a more deeper relationship with God than what it was the first time. Because the first time, I was playing God. I was playing church.
Right.
I was playing with it because I wasn't really real with the calling that God had given me. Because I'm still doing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
As a pastor, I'm still doing drugs. As an ordained pastor and a licensed minister, I'm still doing drugs. That goes. I wasn't serious about the mission.
Right.
And God knew I wasn't serious about the mission. But through his grace and mercy, he didn't let them take me away.
Right. Because it could have been the electric chair for you.
Right. So I had my trial last for 7 days. And on the day of my sentencing, they found me guilty. They found me guilty of a lesser charge, second-degree murder with a firearm. said, wow. Second degree murder with a firearm, that still carries 25 to life.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, Lord, I hope they don't give me no life sentence.
Right. Right.
But anyway, they didn't. They didn't. My family was there as character witnesses. People from the neighborhood was there for character witnesses from me, and they testified in my behalf. And the judge, one of the ruthless judge in Broward County, named Judge Icon, he looked at me. He said, "Mr. Gordon, you come from a good family. You come from a good background." He said, "But you got." He said the same thing. You got tied up. You got mixed up with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
I said, wow. God speaking to me.
Right.
God. So I said, well, so all I could do, I was never taught to hang my head down.
Mm-hmm.
Never hang your head down. So I looked at him and I said, well, do what you gonna do. He said, well, I wish I could let you go. He said, but I can't do that. So I'm going to sentence you to 25 years and 3 years mandatory. I said, what? Oh, this is great. Wasn't no lecture chair nowhere near.
Right, that's great
and
news.
And wasn't no natural life sentence nowhere
Right.
near. He said, okay. I said, thank you, sir. So he telling the judge, thank you for 25 years. I was 46 years old. I was 45 at that time. And when I got back into the holding cell, the fellas asked me, how much time you going to why, Pop? I said, I got 25 years. He said, you happy about 25 years? I said, yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah,
Compared
it's
to
an
what I
electric
was
chair,
facing.
exactly. Compared to
what I
that.
was facing, I said, yeah, I'm happy. He said, man, you all here? I told him what I was. You ain't going to make it out of prison. I said, that ain't what God said.
Right.
God said he's going to deliver me from prison. So I doubted God again. I told my wife, I said, baby, listen, it ain't guaranteed that I'm going to make it out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and give you, if you go get the papers, I give you a divorce date and you can go on. My wife said, Andrew, you sound silly. She said, you sound like a fool. God put us together. He said, till death do us part. He said, God gonna bring you through this. And when God do, I'm gonna be right here waiting for you. Because he's got some great work for you. I looked at it, I said,
You crazy? You crazy right now?
25 years now.
Right.
I'm 45. So it happened. I went to prison, and what happened was in 2003, my heart was broken. My wife died, and I just went into a depressive mood. That depressing demon had got into me. I wanted to just die, cause that was all I had. But I had my kids. You know, God said, "Come out of this. Come out of this. This is no way for a man to act." Remember when David committed adultery with Bathsheba, and Nathan went to him and confronted him about this act, and he said, and David went and started wallowing all in the ash and all that, just doing that, and God spoke to him and said, David, get up, boy, and brush yourself off, for this is no way for a king to act.
Right.
Yeah. So God spoke to me in that manner, and I got up. I just got rid of everything. I started going back out to the regular work, exercising, and I was asking God to just, Lord, and He did. He sent 2 angels to me. I thought I was asleep, but I wasn't asleep. And I was in the room by myself. 2 angels came in the room and they just stood over me. They were my guardian angels. They were going to protect me. And these 2 angels, instead of me focusing on them, I was focusing on their body, my mind. Remember Pastor said about our mindset. My mind was in the wrong place.
Right.
And they said, he's not ready. And they just vanished. They just vanished. I saw him one more time after that. That's when I surrendered. And I asked God to deliver me. He said, I asked him to deliver me from this place with a sound mind and body. And they came and they said, but this time I did it differently.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look at their bodies. I looked straight at their eyes and looked at them. I was looking, and they were beautiful. They had long hair and they were just beautiful. And they said, "Don't worry, He's going to deliver you from this place." And then they just vanished again. I said, "Wow."
So you got your word of confirmation
Yeah.
that God was still with you even
Yeah.
after everything that
Yeah.
you've done. God is still there.
God was still there. He was still there. I went through I got stabbed twice. I also beat 2 dudes in the head with locks, stabbed one. And I backed up, backing up my time. Every time you do something,
Yeah, right. More time. They add to
They
it.
take your game time.
Right.
I spent 6 months on CM for beating the dude with a cane. And I said, man, I gotta tighten up. I said, Lord, please take away this hostile spirit.
Right. It's the anger. Because I think for me, like, I started getting in trouble and I was like back to back trouble for like, because at the time, my wife left me. It wasn't the same as you now. It was not the same as you. There was no such thing as God put us together. It was more like, hey, dude, look. You know, and we were young anyways, you know, but so I was angry.
Mm-hmm.
And that anger, I carried that anger for a long time. Like, I carried that anger even when I came home. Even other relationships I got in, I was still angry because I had built a very nice life for us.
Right.
And then when that happened and I went to jail, it was kind of like, I knew she wasn't going to stick around,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, listen.
I'm hoping she stick around.
Right, I'm hoping she sticks around, you know, and it was one of those, even if you don't, please just keep in contact.
Right.
I need someone on the outside to talk to. And it's funny that, you know, when that happened, the anger set in. And you know how you say God kept you, you came out with a sound mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people who go to prison or even jail, they don't come out the same way.
No.
That's for sure.
No.
I channeled that anger. All I did was pretty much work out.
Yeah.
I read a whole lot and I took classes because I had to keep myself busy.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I stayed
Yeah.
busy. So I was working out. I was taking classes. Let me tell you, I came home with all kinds of certificates. You know, I came home with all kinds of certificates.
I did practically the same thing. I worked out, and I asked God to enhance the talent that He had given me, and I could sew. So I was sewing sneakers. I was making clothes for these people, and I had no support.
Mm-hmm.
And all my support was gone.
Right.
So I had to do what I had to do to survive.
Of course.
And in 2011, I had a heart attack in prison. And I thought it was just, gas or something, right? One of the meanest officers on that compound, her name was Miss Vasquez. When I had the heart attack, the fella said, Pop G, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm all right. I just got a little gas. They said, you got gas? I said, no, you got more than gas because sweat popping off you like BBs. I mean, I was ringing with sweat just popping off. They said, we're going to call us. No, call the officer. No, we're going to call the officer. So they did. They called the officer. Officer came in there. They said, what's wrong? I said, I'm having chest pain. He had a chest pain. He said, come on, Mr. Gordon, let's go. So they put me on the gurney, took me up front to the infirmary. So they gave me 2 aspirins and took me to Perry's hospital, Perry General Hospital, and they couldn't accommodate me there. So they had to, that night, they put me on the ambulance and shot me down to Jacksonville Memorial. And when I got to Jacksonville, I was hurting even worse then. So I got to Jacksonville Memorial, they examined me, they said, oh, we gotta get him in the surgery now. So they They prepped me up, cut all the hair from my chest. I went into surgery. They had to call the cardiologist in so he could do the surgery. And I stayed in surgery for about 4, 5, no, about 8 hours. They did a triple bypass heart surgery on me. So when David said, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadows of death," I have walked that walk, but God was with me.
Of course.
Because before they started, I prayed. I said, "Lord, please just bring me through this." And I repeated the 23rd Psalms, and God brought me through that. Because when you do have a triple bypass heart surgery, they crack the chest.
They crack it open, yeah.
And you pull it all apart.
Right.
Then you take the heart out, and they just play with it, doing all that. They play with my heart. Then they put it back in, and they massage it so it can start back beating again. And I said that God was the surgeon. God did all the surgery. The white man didn't do nothing. It was God. God gave him that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
God gave him the hands. God's hands was on me.
Right.
And he brought me through that. And I wasn't out of the woods yet. I had problem water buildup in my lungs. I couldn't get rid of the water buildup.
Mm-hmm.
So when they took me back to surgery, they put these needles in my back about this long and pulled out about pickle jars.
Right, yeah,
Pulled
yeah.
out about 6 pickle jars of water. I said, "Oh, that couldn't have been." But they drained it all out. But then I had to learn how to breathe all over again because my lungs had sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to teach me how to breathe again. So I had the little breathing machine. I didn't breathe. I said, "Man, I can't do this. So it was hard, but I knew God was going to bring me through. I was hoping that I still was doubting God. I was hoping God would bring me through it. They gave me a teddy bear. They said, "Well," I said, "What teddy bear for?" They said, "You'll find out." So I messed around and sneezed. Oh man, I felt like my whole chest was caved. I grabbed that
teddy bear.
I think I squeezed the stuffing out that teddy bear. I squeezed the stuffing out that teddy bear. But God brought me through. He wasn't done. He wasn't done with me yet. They shipped me from there to Lake Butler. Lake Butler, I went to a place called Columbia, and it was a killing camp because I'm still close custody.
Mm-hmm.
It was a killing camp, man. If the inmates didn't kill you, the officers will. That's the kind of place it was. So I was in a wheelchair. They told I got to spend 6 months in a wheelchair, man, because of my leg, because they took the vein out of my leg.
Okay.
So I was in that, and we going to chow one day. I had been there about they were going to chow. I'm rolling to the chow hall. So we was the first one because they let all the handicaps go first. We got to the chow hall, so we sitting in line waiting, and all of a sudden they let out another dorm. And man, when them dudes got there, it was like they never had nothing to eat before in their life. They stepping all across the wheelchair. I said, "Hey, what?" I used some choice words.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Oh, y'all ain't got no respect for the wheelchair?" So one of the little jitterbugs said, "You better ask about that wheelchair." So you know what I did the next day? I rolled that wheelchair down to the infirmary. I pushed it in there. I said, "Yeah, that's y'all. I'm gone." I said, Mr. Gord, you can't do that. You need the chair." I said, "I don't need that chair. Y'all need the chair. I don't need it." So I walked around the track. I walk a half a track and I come back and sit down. So I walk again. I walk till I got up to 2 laps walking around the track. Then I started jogging half of the track, building myself up, and God was steady giving me. He was strengthening me to do these things. And then he told me I couldn't do push-ups. I said, "Why?" Because it put too much strain on the chest,
right,
and it might. But I said, "Man, that's what y'all say." So I started doing 5 choppers, and then I went from there. Went to 100, I went to 200. So I said, "Ain't no stopping me now."
Right.
I said, "Back then, the white head sung a song, 'Ain't no stopping me now.'" I said, "That's me." I said, "With God on my side, ain't no stopping me now." And God started really dealing with me while I was in prison. He started really showing me. He started bringing me back and and showed me, said, now, when you get up out of here, see, I promise God. I said, Lord, you deliver me from that. I promise you, I will do your will. I will do anything that you put forth before me to do. And when he delivered me, I was in 2019, I was delivered.
Amen.
God said, you can't hold him no longer.
Yes, sir.
It's time for him to go now.
Ain't God good?
He done reaped everything now.
Ain't God good? But you know, you telling this story, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, how amazing is God? And at the same time, you know, for some people, they might feel like you are going through these hard times and all that. But for me, I'm like, God was preparing you to come home. Because
Exactly.
God's like, okay, now you had a whole heart surgery. You have all this stuff you went through.
Yeah.
You're not trying to go back to drugs because you know you're going to die.
Remember the prayer that I said, Lord, deliver me with a sound mind, and
right.
body?
Yes.
Okay, so he gave me a rebuilt heart, rebuilt lungs.
Yeah.
And I had eye surgery, so they put a corrective lens in my eye because I developed glaucoma while I was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I lost the sight in my right eye, but I only have my left eye. But he fixed that one, so I got 20/20 in this eye now. And everything just worked out for the best.
Yes.
It said, the Bible says, all things work for the
Good of he.
for those that love. I love the Lord.
Of course. I
the
love it.
Lord.
I love it.
the Lord.
I love it.
He said, although you turned your back on me, Andrew,
Mm-hmm.
I will never turn my back
Never.
on you.
You're going to go through these consequences.
but
the consequences to make you the man that I want you to be, the man that you were born to be. That's what it is. And that's God's amazing power.
God is an awesome God.
Yes, he is.
And if I should turn back again,
He'll take you this time.
Ain't no coming back.
There's no coming back.
Ain't no coming
He'll
back.
take you this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll definitely take you this time. Because, wow, this is, wow, I'm telling you, your story
the Bible
is
says,
touching.
if a man make a vow unto the Lord, it is best that he keep that vow.
Yes.
Because you don't make a vow to the Lord and you go back on your word.
Oh, no.
You can't do that. See, you can make a vow to a man. And
To
go
a
back
man,
on your
right.
word.
To a man is different. But when it
Man
comes
has
to
no
God,
hell
though.
to put you in, has no hell to take you out of.
Exactly.
But God is the only person that can kill mind, body,
Body
and soul.
soul. Yes.
So,
Yes.
the consequences behind you going back on your word on God,
Right.
he done gave us the illustration. He told you now.
He told you, exactly.
What's going to happen
Mhm.
if you turn your back on me
Right.
again? So I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So
That is so great, though.
How you say it? I'm steadfast.
Yes. The eye straight forward on the Lord.
I was unremovable.
Of course.
Because I can do all things through Christ,
Christ who
that
strengthens me.
me.
Yes.
For I have forgotten those things
Mm-hmm.
which are behind
Which are behind me,
and
right?
I'm pressing toward the high calling in Christ Jesus.
Yes, sir.
So-
Amen.
I said to myself, I promised God, I said, Lord, after I give this testimony and you place me back to where you want me to be, I said, I'll never bring that up again. I never bring up that prison life again.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
Because I'm not gonna. If I said I have forgotten those things,
Right. So you have forgotten
then
them.
why should I bring them up again?
You're right.
That means I haven't.
Now, so
forgotten
let
them.
me ask you a question. Right now, and your story is, that's like one of the best, hearing how God operates. And it really touches on exactly what we talked about with Gentlemen's League, about your choices, the choices to choose wrong, and God still being there for you. You go through the trials, you go through the consequences, but He never left you. He
never
was
left.
always there, because
He never
here you are. You have all these things happen, but He was always there
You have
with
to
you.
realize God didn't turn his back on me. I
You
turned my
did.
back on
Amen.
God.
Yes, sir. Yes.
That's all it was.
Yes.
He was still standing at the door. He was still
Mhm.
knocking. He was still knocking.
Right.
But I refused to let him come in.
Amen.
I refused to let him come
Let me ask, so speaking to my boys, my Gentlemen's League, because my prayer is that I have 300 boys. I don't want Gentlemen's League just to be in the constraint of this building. I want it to be all around Broward, wherever. I want it to be big. I want to touch the young kids. See, I have friends who died early.
Yeah.
You know, I joined the Marine Corps right after one of my friends was killed
Okay.
over drugs.
Yeah.
Over drugs, over ecstasy pills. So a 15-year-old killed an 18-year-old over drugs for 2 lives. It wasn't one life that was died. It was 2 lives taken. So I want to do, I pray that God give me strength to work with these boys and teach those boys to help them make better decisions, help them, teach them how to have a relationship with God. And in doing that, the most amazing thing about it, this is how good God is, and doing that, I've changed my life. Because I told them that I'm going to be always 100% honest with them.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, there's certain things that I used to like to do
Mm-hmm.
that now I'm kind of like, I can't do that. Because I don't want to let them down. Because, you know, if I go out there and do certain things and then they find out, what they're going to say? Oh, Michelle, you know, you're a liar.
Well,
And I would never be a liar.
Michelle, Brother Michelle, let me tell you this. How can you tell me how to fight a war if you've never been in one?
You're right.
So you have to experience God. You have to.
Yes.
You done experienced it.
Yes.
So that's how you can tell those young boys how they can avoid from going down the same road that you and I went.
Yes.
We got to avoid temptation.
Yeah.
We got to stay steadfast in the Word of
In
God.
the Word of God.
You got to.
You gotta listen.
That's the only
You gotta
thing.
listen,
You gotta
because
listen.
sometimes
You gotta
the
listen.
voice is there, but everything else in your life overshadows it. But that voice is always there, though.
You got 2 voices now.
Mm-hmm.
You got one sitting on the left hand. You got one sitting on the right hand. So which one you gonna listen to? That one on the left hand? Or the
Right,
one
or the right hand, right.
I'm listening to the one on the right hand because he's the right one.
Right.
That one on the left hand,
You gotta flick them off.
Thumb them off.
What would you say to my boys? What would you say? What message would you say? Would you give to Gentlemen's League about choosing the wrong decision in God, like their choices? Like I said, our title for the series that we're teaching for the next couple of months is Choices Determine Destiny.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're still talking about choosing wrong. What happens when you choose wrong in the face of God, you know, because God has a plan for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
How we get there.
All our lives are predestined.
Right.
Before we even come out of our mother. Well, we were still yet in our
Still
mother's
in, right.
womb.
I knew you.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. I would tell them, if your peers are not in the will of God, if your peers are not serving God, then they're not your peers.
Amen.
They're your destruction. There's always a warning before destruction. Keep your eyes focused on the prize. Don't ever lose focus on that prize. And when someone will come up to you and try to persuade you to do something that you know in your heart that you shouldn't be doing, follow that first mind when he tell you to run away. Run as fast as you can.
Fast as you can.
And then as you run, you call on Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And say, Lord, please save him, please save him, please save him, please save him, please save him. And God will, he will bring you out of that situation. He will eliminate that obstacle that's in front of you. Remember what David said? David said, teach me how to. And God, that's a lesson. If you avoid that one, that's a lesson. And the old people say, if a man doesn't learn from his mistakes, then you count that man as a fool.
A fool, yes. It's a fool, for real.
I think King Solomon said that. So you count that man as a fool. Because you got to learn from your mistakes to keep going forward.
Of course.
If you keep doing the same mistakes, making the same mistakes,
you ain't learning anything.
You ain't learning nothing.
Right.
So you got to be a fool.
Right. That's true.
I would never go that way no more. It's a lion down that road out there.
That's
I'm not going to be devoured by that
right.
lion no more. He tried to take me. He tried to take me, but God wouldn't let him. So I'm not going to let him.
Right. And now, I know now you are here in church, and I am very happy about. I'm glad that God put in your heart to do prison ministry. That's something, and your story, like your testimony is amazing. Your testimony, And I'm gonna make sure that these boys even listen to this before I put it up, because that's the kind of things that I feel like the younger, not just younger generation. I feel like people need to hear those stories, because a lot of times we out there, we make decisions not really thinking about the consequences. You know, the consequences is not only going to prison. You could die in prison.
Yeah.
You can lose your whole family in prison.
Yes.
And losing your family
Yes.
while you're in prison or locked up is harder, because you can't do anything about it. You're just
Nothing
sitting
about it.
somewhere, so you have to mentally deal with it.
Exactly.
But yet, even losing your love, your wife, God still kept you.
Yeah.
You know, you almost fell into depression. God still kept you, and I thank God for you. I really thank God for you, and I thank God that you decided to come here and sit down with me and have that, because I thought about it, and then yesterday I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and ask. So I thank God for you, and I thank God that you
thank
came
God.
in
Yeah.
and sat down with me. If you have anything else to say, we can go ahead. You know, I give you the time right now to give any message to the young boys, if you like, or anyone else.
Only thing I could tell them, what I would like to tell them is, don't be fooled by glamour and gold. Silver and gold only lasts for a moment, but the gift of God lasts eternally. So keep your eyes on the prize that will never leave you nor forsake you, and you can accomplish anything you desire, anything, in the name of Jesus Christ. For I can do all things through Christ that
strengthens me.
Yes.
Yes.
Amen.
All right. Well, there you have it. We had a great time sitting down having a conversation, and we talked about wrong decision. You know, and it's another episode of our Choices Determine Destiny podcast. And I hope that this message reaches somebody, changes somebody's mindset, changes somebody's thinking. And right now I want to thank Bishop and Pastor Thomas for allowing us to use their building. You know, Gentlemen's League is held here every Thursday night at 7:30, 3471 West Broward Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. You can always catch me on Instagram, Complex King. That's at KOMPLEXKING for any questions, or you can just stop by. And to everybody else listening, Gentlemen's League is for the young generation, it's for the youth. We're hoping to have 300 young men, teaching them how to live the godly life, how to have a relationship, an intimate relationship with God, and teaching them the Bible and showing them how to apply it in their daily life. So for everybody else, please tune in for next. Share this with someone. Pass it around. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Gentlemen's League. The YouTube channel is Gentlemen's League. Make sure you subscribe so you can get all the latest information, all the notification. And to everybody, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's real.